Hi again, this is Michael from Database Streams. We're on to lesson 5 today, which we're going to create a front end and link to our data file, alright? And then we're going to create a few forms and use one of the templates and some other settings in the just for your database, alright, for your front end. So let's get started. What we want to do is we want to go to Microsoft Access, alright, blank database. Create a new database and call it charts or simple charts. Alright. And we want to save it in our folder we use for our chart system. Alright. Okay. And create. You want to close that down. Now we need to set up some not permissions but defaults, or just set the system up, alright? So click on current database, give it a title as simple charts, alright? Now I've added a icon that Clarissa built for me when she was about 11, so it's something I always use. She went out of her way to build it for me, so I do love it. Right, so I've already copied it into the actual folder. Any files you need for your database, you use them in, copy them in the file, right, like this. Now use that as form and report icon. Alright. Now we want overlapping windows. I don't like the tabs view. Alright. That's basically all the settings you need to do. You haven't got a ribbon at the moment, although I may create one, help you create one later. So that'll be for a later lesson. Just click OK, and just come back to repair. Alright, enable. So now you see what it's got up there, simple charts. Alright. Now what we're going to do is we're going to link our data file. Alright, so we want to go to external data, new data source, from database access. Alright, now because we're linking to it, make sure you click the link to data source. Alright, and browse. Now and browse to your folder, design version, simple charts. Now the file you want is simple charts data. Click on that, open. Alright, and then click OK. It brings you up another form because we want all of them. Just select all. Alright, and OK, and you can see them all there. There's the artists we added before. Alright, and a chart. Alright, now I played with this a while ago, so I'm going to show you how. There's a reason I added that. I'll show you later. Alright, I'll explain it later. What we want to do now is we want to go to forms. Alright, and we want to create a new form. Go to create. Alright, and form design. Now what we want to do is this is going to be our templates. We're going to copy this form for a lot of other forms. We're going to copy it twice for this particular lesson. So quickly I'm going to do all the settings. Alright, there's no caption. Format, what we want is auto center, yes. I like things to be center. Border size sizable, yeah. Navigation buttons, no. Reason I'm not having navigation buttons, although I may have to change it on one or two, is because the data source is can be quite huge, and I don't like doing it like this anymore. Alright, so if you count how many seconds this takes to open, you'll see why I don't like doing this anymore. Alright, that's why I don't like it. It takes about 4 or 5 seconds to open, which is not good. Chart tracker, it opens like this one, it open straight away. Alright, so that's why I use a search form from now on. on all my databases. So right, let's go back to our settings. Scroll bars, we don't want any, neither. Alright. We want a control box and close button. We don't want to minimise and maximise buttons for these. I don't see any need for them. Alright, and I think that's about all the settings we need to change on that one. Yep. Alright, let's save that form. Oh, there is another setting. There is another setting. It's where are we? Record selectors. That's it. We don't want record selectors either. Yes. Now call it form template or FRM. I always use an abbreviation to start, like forms, queries, tables, and modules of like three letters. What I do for a sub form is I add ZFRM. Alright, it just identifies it as a sub object. Alright, but templates. And I always use uppercase on the actual name. It makes it easier to see. Right, so there's your template. Alright, and there's one thing I did forget to do, which I'm going to go and do now. Well, actually, I don't need to do that on that. I just copy that, because that is going to be the form I'm going to copy all the way through this. So whenever I create a new form, like the artist form, even charts form, I'll probably copy that form. All right. Subforms, I'll be doing another template for that. All right, but I'll cover that when I get to it. So we put copy. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the main control. We're not going to put any code or nothing into it. All right. So we want. I'll show you what the main control is used for. Try and keep the main control as uncluttered as possible. Keep just what you need to actually, for the job you're doing. Main control. Remember what I said about not having any spaces in the object's names. Right, so there's your main control. So what we want to do is we want to make one minor change to that, and we're going to add a caption. All right, let's call it charts. Simple charts. This is a form that's always going to be open. Right, so what you can do later on is we're going to disable the close button. Alright, so it has to be closed another way, but we can sort that out. So basically I can't close that form down without closing the database, but I'll sort it out later. Let's save that, and there we are. Right, now let's add a button. Alright, so let's go to form design, a button. Alright, and we don't want to use any code, so I'll just cancel that. Now what we want to do is all your objects and your, like buttons, command buttons, text fields, labels, always you use a specific naming convention. Alright, so this is CMD, but it's a command button, underscore, and this is we're going to use this one for charts later. Alright, so let's call it charts. Alright, and let's add a caption to it. View charts. Right, now we're going to add a image to it as well. Right, picture caption arrangement. We're going to have a caption on the right and the picture on the left. So let's go to our pictures, browse our pictures. Because this is embedded, you don't need it. You don't need to actually have a picture in the same place. You can move them around as much as you want, as long as you embed them. Where are we? There we are. Right, let's change that view. And change that. Alright, now let's go down to do. Alright, you see it's put there. Now what I'll do is I'll actually add a space there, Because if you see, it looks like they're sitting on top of each other. So you add a space, and it just makes it look a little bit neater. And put it up there. We'll tidy all this up later as we go. You know, I'm going to do a little bit at a time. Excuse me. Right, I'll save that. Now, the command button doesn't do nothing, right? But that's your button, which is basically, if we go here, close that down. See what I mean about not being able to close this without closing the main screen? So, but at the moment, because we're designing it, we'll leave that button there enabled so we can actually close it down. All right. So we're going to create a couple of other forms, or one other form, and that is the formats form. So let's copy our template, and we'll make some alterations to it. But then we're going to copy the form we create from the alterations. All right. So let's copy. Now paste. Alright, I'll call the form formats list. Alright, format list. Okay, now go and design. Now what we want to do is we want to change the size of it, and we want to see where it says default view. You need to change the default view to continuous form. Alright, you'll see why in a minute. And we're going to give it a record source. So let's create a query. We're going to use a query for this. Let's close that down. Go to links, click on links. Alright, and just drag your table formats into your query window. Click that. Now go to sort and ascending. Alright, so let's you see what I mean? AES, and click OK. Oh, now because I didn't save it, it's used the actual expression of the SQL. I don't want that, so we're going to save it. QRY formats lists. Alright, and when you close it, it'll ask you if you want to update, and say yes. So now when we go to the properties, you'll see it's put it there. So that's now our formatted list. So now what we can do with that is we want a header and footer. Right, here's your header and footer. Click on header and footer and adjust the size. Now right click on the form footer there. Alright, now you want to hide that one. I'll show you why in a minute. But basically what I do is when I create a form like this, I create the ID. I always put the ID on the form as well. It's just something I do. You don't really need to, but it's just what I do. Right, now we want to add some controls to it. So we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat on this. I'm going to add a button. Alright, let's try and do that again. Alright, cancel that. Alright, and we want to change the image. Oh. Just scroll down the list until you get to delete record. Okay. Alright, and just resize it down to something small. Alright, you don't need delete buttons massive. Put it up in the corner there. Rename it to CMD delete. Alright. You don't need a caption because we're not using a caption for this. Now click on event and on click. So basically when someone clicks that form, clicks that button there, this event will run. Alright? And whatever code you put in there will run. But I'm going to cheat, I'm going to put some code in there. Oh no, that's the wrong. There we are, that's what I want. And just delete that. But I just clicked the wrong thing. Right, click in between that the delete button's name, and let's go to form here and design view. Right. Now this has got all the bits and pieces you need. Alright, so just copy this whole. I'm just going to copy this whole code here. Alright, everything inside the button command call. Alright, let's close it down. No, don't want to save that. Now I'll explain what these are going to do in a minute. Alright, so there's your code. So basically what it is to do is if you're on a new record and you didn't have this code, you get a funny message if you try to run. Actually, I can show you that now. Right, if I do that, right, that'll take that bit out and save. I'm going to quickly add. Right, I'm going to quickly add a text box. Well, we don't need to go to fields. Right, now drop the ID field in there. As I said, I like to keep the ID on the form. You don't necessarily have to do it for all forms, which is something I like to do. Now cut that, the label name, right, and cut it and put it up here, and just make it a bit bigger, make it look a bit nicer. Right. Now again, remember what I said about the naming conventions, alright? Labels, anything. I always use LBL underscore. Alright. And if I click that, align to left, and just make sure they are actually aligned to the top as well. Alright. Now draw it up there. Alright, that is your form. So have a quick look, see what that looks like. Now what we want to do is, you see how big this form is. Alright, there's another control I should reset. Alright. Once I've done all this on this one, I'm going to copy this form and just change it for what I need. Alright. So we want navigation buttons. We want to re-enable navigation buttons. Because it's obviously multiple records that will be being displayed once. So I see what I mean. Right, now to change the actual size of the form, I'll change the name in a minute as well. Right. Change it the size you want. Alright, so like that. Control S. Right, when it's like that, and click to close it. See what I mean? And it saves it the size you want. Now let's change that name. Right, so give it a caption of formats. Oh, you remember what I said about I've disabled that bit of code there by putting the little thingamajig in front of it. I can't remember what it's called for a minute. Right, so as you notice, I got a label there, which is what I basically made the whole thing into. It says new record. Right, so whenever you try and delete a new record, this is what's going to happen. It's probably going to call me a liar now, but hey, right. So you can't do that. All right. So you don't want that message showing. So let's re-enable that. All right. And save it. Go back to our form. So it ignores it. All right. Now, do you remember when I started? Let's go into tables. I'll show you what it is. Right, if we go to formats, see albums is 1. Alright, and so what we're going to do is we're going to where's chart names. Alright, you see I've got a format there of albums. It will not allow me to actually delete the actual format, albums format, that one there. Alright, I'm going to prove that now, because the way the relationships work, it won't actually allow me to actually delete that record, because obviously chart names has a format in it. So if I go and try, I could delete this one. Right, it asks me, it say yes, I can delete that one. All right. I don't want to do that, so I just say no. Which again, if I do, let's change that little bit of code again, and let's take that out. This is what this bit of code does. Alright, and save it. So when I go back to delete something, I change my mind. Alright, it comes up with a silly message like that no one understands. Alright, so that's what that bit of code does there. Alright, so let's re-enable that and save it. So again, if you try and do that. Right, now we go other little bit of code, this bit here, case 3200. Right, we'll run that. When I try and delete the actual album formats, because there's an album format in table chart names, it'll run that little bit of code there. Alright, so let's go and see what happens. So let's try and, so there you go. Now I've got to change the name of that to more fit. So, but that's a better. I think that's a lot better than actually having just a generic message that you can't actually really understand. It doesn't tell you anything. So let's put this format is in use and cannot be deleted. I think that's a bit more descriptive. So it's basically, you've prevented it from giving you loads of messages you ain't gonna understand, or it's going to be confusing, and where you don't need messages, it just ignores it. Alright, and there's your little icon there. Now come back to repair it. So now you've got your main control with your little button on, and your list of formats. What we're going to do on lesson 6 is copy that form and make some other forms, and then start putting our database together bit by bit. Alright, it'll take a few more lessons before you get something usable, but I'm working on the actual artists side of it, so you can start adding artists. Alright, I'll leave certain things enabled so it makes it easier for you to add artists if that's what you want to do. Alright, anyway, that's it from me. Thank you. Bye bye.